Welcome to A Shot of Rock. I'm your host Alex, and today we're going to talk about the Clutch Show. For those of you who don't know, Clutch is a band from Maryland that's made up of Neil, Tim, Dan, and Jean-Paul. We'll go with it. I went to their show at the Seven Flags Event Center in Clive, Iowa on May 12th of 2015. This was a co-headlining show with Mastodon with openers Graveyard. I'll admit that going into the show, I didn't know a lot of their songs, but I knew a couple, and I liked them, so I was pretty excited just to see how the whole thing was going to go on. I got there and photographed Graveyard, and their set was awesome. And their lighting was fantastic, which is surprising for an opening band because normally the lights are shit. And then the pictures are kind of meh. Well, then Clutch came up after Graveyard's set, and I went and started to photograph theirs. Being in the press pit, you tend to notice how the bands move in a certain way. You have to learn so you can get better pictures. But the only one that really moved was Neil. It was definitely a Neil-centric show. He moved around and he held the audience attention and he interacted, and it made it really fun to watch him. So I have a lot of pictures of Neil because of that fact, is that he was interesting to watch. However, the others were a little more stagnant. They didn't move as much. So that was the thing that happened. So I don't have a lot of them because they tended to look the same. So I had to figure out ways to get different shots when they didn't move that much. Neil's pictures were more interesting because of the fact that he moved, and all of his pictures tended to look different. So it's kind of hard to choose which ones to post. I mean all of this in a nice way, because the music and all of that still sounded really, really good. So it really didn't matter that they didn't move so much, or that they didn't interact with the fans as much. But you know, that happens in shows. After I had my 3 songs, I moved off to the side and watched from just behind this crowd of audience next to the stage. And it was something that was completely different than I'm used to seeing. I know that I dance at most rock shows that I'm at because I'm insane and it's what I do. But this one, it was like this almost the entire crowd seemed to be dancing, and if they weren't moving, they were super active, which is great to see at a show. Because there's a lot of shows that I've been to lately where the dance isn't responsive at all, and it's boring, and it's sad, and I feel bad for the bands, honestly, when crowds are like that. But this wasn't it. This one, they had people dancing and cheering through every song and knew every line. Just going off the crowd itself, like, if you couldn't hear the music, you couldn't see the band, all you could see was the audience, you would think it was great. Just from how they were reacting, and it was fabulous. With the audience being awesome and interactive and responsive to the fabulous lighting, the great sound, the pure insanity that is Neil as he runs around the stage like a bat out of hell. This was a really, really good show. Even only knowing a couple of their songs, sometimes feeling a little left out of the audience response because you don't have that knowledge that they do of the band, it was still a lot of fun. I will admit though, when Electric Worry came on, I was dancing like a mad woman. But overall, the only thing I would change would be that maybe the other band members were more interactive, maybe moved a little bit more. But if that's going to be at a sacrifice of the sound, then I'd rather not worry about it. Overall, great show. I would recommend Clutch whenever you can go see them. And if you can, go check out Graveyard. They were really good as well. Alright, that's it for A Shot of Rock. I'm your host Alex, and I'll see you at the rock show.